makes the least amount of mistakes when you go on the road. I asked Drew yesterday about the usage of a silent count and if that's something that's based off of discipline versus something you practice. What would you say for that?
We practice it daily, so that's why we got the music out there and stuff like that. But, on the road, week one, you understand that environment plays a role in how you got to play.
Coach, this is your third year, entering your third season. This is the third straight year you'll open on the road. How difficult is that to open on the road?
I don't mind it, 50% of the team's got to do it, It's just no big deal. We just got to understand our opponent, understand the environment, take care of our business, 4 to 8 hours before the game, how we got to handle that, how we're traveling, all that stuff. But we'll do a good job with it.
When you have a quarterback like Kyler, who's a veteran quarterback, and the difference between a veteran quarterback who's been through a handful of openers compared to somebody who doesn't have that experience, how does that benefit a team, do you think, going into the first game of the year?
I don't know. I mean, probably he's got more reps doing it, So just the experience of that.
You guys will be preparing for Spencer Rattler this week. I know there's been a lot of thought of when it comes to a rookie quarterback, maybe some teams would prefer to face them. Is there a benefit when you were facing a quarterback that has film from the prior year? Like, is that almost like a benefit for you guys?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Donnie, I think, you look back at, what he does, his patterns in the pocket, how he moves, how he likes to set up. It's a different scheme, so it's going to be a little bit different, but you definitely see the skill set of who you're defending.
What have you seen out of Zay Jones so far, and if you were able to maximize his potential, what would he potentially add to the offense?
Yeah, I think, he does his job. He's in the right spot. He can play 3 spots. He's fast. He's explosive. Really good contested catch guy, so I'm looking forward to seeing him impact us.
Coach, you talk to the young guys at all about just the nerves and emotions that go into game one?
A little bit. That's why controlling the day is the most important thing. You don't want to be looking ahead to Sunday right now. You probably get a little anxious, I told the coaches that too, myself included. Just got to do a good job today.
What are some of the staples of a Brandon Staley defense?
They disguise really well. Multiplicity. They take away the ball. They tackle well. And they try to make it hard on the quarterback. They do a good job of affecting the quarterback.
You talk a lot about essentially some version of this team goes as Kyler goes. Do you see that as being the case just for every team in their quarterback, or is there something specific with Kyler that makes that special?
Probably every team.
How do you schedule your road trip here? Is New Orleans kind of an East Coast kind of a thing for you guys?
Yeah, we're going to make it a one-day. So we changed our normal one-day schedule when you're not flying across time zones. They're Central Time, so 2 hours ahead of us. But so we tweaked it a little bit. We looked at it, talked to the experts about that. It is a little bit of a change for us, how we've handled that before the time change for our first 2 years here. We typically made that a 2-day. We're making it a 1-day. So talked to our guys about, this was last Thursday, about the advantages of how we're doing it and the disadvantages and how to negate the disadvantages of it. So I feel good where we're at.
Where do you, going into year 7, where do you feel like Kyler has maybe taken a leap from the previous 2 years that you saw him here?
Command, comfortability, understanding the why. He gets better every snap he takes. He really does. So, playmaking. That's. I know he's a playmaker. Let's make him.
Players and coaches both talk a lot about understanding the why. Why is it important to understand the why?
Because then you play with accelerated vision. So when you understand what's going on with all the other 21 guys on the field, it can accelerate your thought process and decision making. You play a little bit faster, play a little bit better.
Is New Orleans a tough place to play?
Yeah, very, very hard. Yeah, that's the only show in town. It's a good football city, and I've been in there multiple times. That's aside from being week 1. It's a passionate fan base, and it's loud there. We gotta make sure that we handle it.
We talked the other day about the unknowns and knowing about the unknowns. How tough is that in week one?
Hard, but everybody has to, play under the same rules of engagement, I would say. So just got to make an advantage for us.
From year one now, is the front seven evolution kind of the vision that you had? Is it turning into reality now, and how much more expectation do you have?
Yeah, we obviously added some good pieces. Some guys that we've had a couple of years or a year have improved their games, I think, feel good about all their roles. Monty and his staff has done a good job of acquiring guys that kind of fit how we like to play. And at the end of the day, our defense will go as the D-line goes. That's what I told him the other day. I do believe that, You got to be able to stop the run, and you got to be able to affect a passer, So that's what I'm looking for out of our front.
You and Nick have preached rushing the passer with integrity, maybe more so just as a unit kind of collapsing on the pocket. I'm curious, what's the balance between a player winning their one-on-ones on an individual basis, but also kind of doing it as a cohesive unit?
I think to Teo's point, the understanding of when they can kind of, as I would say, go cut it loose and make it happen, and when they have to be aware of how they fit into the other rushers. Because typically, however you're designing it or doing it, certain guys have, the freedom, and other guys don't. You never have 4 guys with, 100% freedom rushing, or 5 guys if you're rushing 5 or 6 with 100% freedom. So they just got to understand how they fit in schematically to what we're trying to get done and execute.
I know you're focused on today, but the bigger
I am, Teo.
What is the importance of getting off to a hot start, not just in week one, but kind of
Focused on today. Focused on today. Focused on today. Just win today. Just win today.
You talk about New Orleans being a good football environment. Does that add any extra juice for you, kind of walking into that as a road underdog?
No, it's fun. You know what I mean? That's I always say, coaching, the best part of the job is right now. A lot of people might say it's not. I think they're in the wrong business if they don't think that. Games are fun, man. You get to get measured. You see, the week of prep, how that, how well did you do it, and then you get to learn from it and move on. Whether you win or lose, you got to learn from that and move on. So this is the fun part, Juices will be flowing.
You're looking to learn from mistakes. It changes, right, on who you have on the field and your opponent every week. Do you have a little more grace for your team early in the season as you guys kind of get warm than you maybe do later on?
That's a good question, Danny. Certain mistakes, yeah, I give them a little bit of grace. Other mistakes, no, not much. So those that I don't give them grace, we got to make sure we handle those. So we don't beat ourselves. But I understand there's going to be some mishaps and mistakes, and nobody plays a perfect game. And we just got to make less mistakes than the other team for 60 minutes.
I don't know if you saw the other day, Kellen Moore had some serious praise for your defense and kind of the creativity you guys have. Does that mean anything to you to see that kind of praise from
Not really. I have a high opinion of Kellen. If you go back and look at my track record against him, it's not good, truthfully. He's always had really good offenses. He's very creative. I love it. It makes it really hard on a defense how he calls the game. He's been a couple different stops, and his offenses play in a way that's hard to defend. It really is, and not just because he's got good players. Take that out of it. Schematically. He's hard to defend. The pace that he plays with is hard to defend. It puts you on your heels, and he's always been ahead of me. So we got our work cut out for it. Now I'm not calling the game, so it's a little bit different. But I got a high opinion of Kellen.
Coach, back to that further. Is a road trip harder or easier on the team? Is it easier to play at home or harder? Does it make a difference?
No, you just kind of handle what you need to handle.
Logistically, though, does it change things?
You're traveling a couple hours, but they're used to it.
We have such an established track record like that against somebody like Kellen Moore. What balance do you have when drawing back on your previous experience facing against him compared
Yeah, you try to draw back on all of it, you know. And then again, the hard thing is when you look when he's in Dallas or the Chargers or Philly, those are all different, you know, players and different teams. Like he's good because he, you know, when he's got to step on the gas because he needs to, he does. When he doesn't need to step on the gas, he doesn't. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's a good analogy or not, but I guess my point is he plays the way that he feels he needs to play to win the game, you know, with the people that he has to who he's going against. And that's he's creative and he adapts and he typically designs it the right way. You know, you look back, the part of learning, you know, coaches aren't always right how they design a game plan, you know. And I feel like whenever I played him, he was always right. You know, thought I was going to be in this, and sure as hell I was in that, and he got me. You know what I mean? So he's good. He's really good. There's no wonder he's a head coach, and you know he's a big time quarterback. You know, he's a stud.
You talked about yesterday. He started his Saints prep back in early July, and kind of he had even started prepping for some teams before the schedule came out, just hoping they would be September opponents. Is that something you do at all? You know, doing that early summer prep?
Yeah. I mean, probably we started looking at. We always look at. Man, we're going back in the past now, but typically teams that we're playing that have the same play callers and same head coaches, we get a start on that, and then. And each one varies by when the schedule comes out, then how early you're playing them, you know, because I don't think you need to put the same amount of prep in the offseason as you do for New Orleans, as you do Cincinnati. You know what I mean? So it just changes a little bit, but all coaches work ahead. You know, they all work ahead.
Coach, thanks.
Okay, thank you, guys.
We'll see you around.